Royce Lewis is heating up. Let's talk Week 19 sleepers on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Friday, July 25th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. And let's quickly run through the schedule first. 24 teams with 6 games. We have 6 teams with 7 games next week, including the Orioles, Yankees, Mariners, Rays, Rangers, and Blue Jays. What about the Rockies? They have 6 games next week, 3 at home in Coors Field against the Pirates and 3 at Cleveland. Starter sit these 2-star pitchers next week. I've got to ask, just because I know people are wondering, Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is home against the Mets and the Cardinals.
Yeah, I stand by what I've been saying all along with Dylan Cease. You just got to stick him in your lineup and take whatever he gives you. Because if you start picking and choosing, you're going to miss out on all the good starts that make the bad starts worthwhile. And maybe you look at his numbers and say, well, the good starts don't make the bad starts worthwhile. But that could change on a dime. I mean, the skills appear to be intact, and there's been a lot of variance throughout this guy's career. You've already absorbed so much of the bad that if you have any hope for him at all, I think you've got to keep yourself open to the good. So I don't have Dylan Cease as a must-start 2-star pitcher, but I do have him as advisable in most cases. And before I move on, I want to give the same disclaimer I gave on the full-length podcast. Trade deadline is Thursday, about a week from today, which means it's going to happen halfway, middle of the way, between the scoring period we're talking about now. Expect a lot of pitcher movement. Probable pitchers are going to change in ways we can't anticipate right now. And so what seems like a 2-star pitcher now, what seems like a favorable matchup now, may not be when the time comes for that pitcher to actually pitch. So this week, as much as any, I think you lean on your most reliable pitchers regardless of matchups. But if you're in a pinch, we're still here offering suggestions.
All right. What about Chase Burns, who gets the Dodgers and the Braves next week?
I think that's fine. I think you should start him.
For now, Mitch Keller is at the Giants and at the Rockies.
For now, but he seems like a pitcher likely to be moved. Not that it would only be the pitchers moved themselves that would be affected by the trade deadline, but anyone in any rotation where any pitcher is moved or acquired. So, but anyway, yeah, Keller, with those matchups, I think it's a yes. Certainly in points leagues.
Drew Rasmussen, who's been limited lately, is at the Yankees and home against the Dodgers.
You could ask for better matchups, but I still think you're going to want to start Rasmussen in most cases. Obviously, he's good for ratios and roto, and he has that relief pitcher eligibility for points leagues.
A few more questionable names here. Zach Eflin gets the Blue Jays and at the Cubs.
Tough matchups, and he came back with a good start. Came back from the IL with a good start, but a lot of bad before then. It's going to take a while to regain my trust.
Casey Mize is home against the D-backs and at the Phillies.
Yeah, those matchups are too tough, and he's been pretty bad lately.
And Cam Schlittler gets the Florida double dip. He is home against the Rays and at the Marlins.
Haven't seen enough from him to recommend him.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into the pitchers that you want to add and stream for next week. We'll do that right after this. Welcome back in FBT Express, and let's get into the 2-star pitchers to add and stream for next week. Scott, who are they?
All right, my favorites are Edward Cabrera, whose elbow scare recently has him available in a third of CBS Sports leagues again. Not great matchups, Cardinals and Yankees, but there's 2 of them, and lately it hasn't mattered who Edward Cabrera's facing. He's just been good. Slade Ciccone has a few good matchups coming up, but especially this week, 2 of them, Rockies in Cleveland and Twins also in Cleveland. Doesn't matter as much for them, though. Slade Ciccone, good play. Skipping a few one start options here to the next two start options in my sleeper pitchers. Patrick Corbin, believe it or not, he has been steady, and I think there's good reason for it. The cutter has taken a leap this year. It's a harder cutter. It's helped to improve the quality of contact against Corbin, especially against right-handed hitters. And I like the matchups well enough this week, Angels and Mariners. Landon Roop has been pretty steady lately as well. He gets the Pirates and Mets. And finally, Joe Boyle. Speculative here because the Rays have yet to say for sure that he's taking the spot in Taj. He's taking Taj Bradley's spot in the rotation. But if he does, if Boyle slots in at Bradley's turn, he would line up to start Tuesday and Sunday. It is against the Yankees and Dodgers, so third and first best offense in the majors. So between the tough matchups, between the questionable role, I only have Boyle 10th here. But if we find out over the weekend that he is indeed starting Tuesday, he might move up the list some.
All right. What about some one-start streamers for next week?
One-start streamers, we have Brandon Walter, who's looked very good. He gets the Nationals. I think that matchup is good enough to use him. Jose Soriano was great against the Phillies last time out. He gets the Rangers. That's a much better matchup than the Phillies are. Michael Wacha facing a Braves team that just seems completely deflated and doesn't rank that high anyway in terms of offense. So I think Wacha should be fine. Eric Lauer has been great recently. Don't have as much trust in him as Brandon Walter, but coming off a good start against the Tigers, better matchup against the Orioles coming up. I think you could use Lauer. Max Scherzer hasn't looked great since coming back from a thumb injury, but it hasn't been awful either, and he's facing a Royals lineup that ranks second to last in runs scored.
All right, let's get into the hitters for next week. The best matchups, we have Mariners, Blue Jays, Pirates, Rays, and Guardians. The worst hitter matchups, Tigers, Mets, Nationals, Dodgers, and Reds. Scott, who are your sleeper hitters for week 19?
Number one is Royce Lewis, not so much because of the Twins matchups, but just because he's looked more like Royce Lewis lately. We all know the upside he has. Needs to be picked up in more leagues. Ivan Herrera, kind of the same thing. Do like the Cardinals matchups a little more than the Twins. But mostly he's here just because there's no reason he should qualify for this list. He just had a big game Thursday. So hopefully that'll get people off, send them off to the waiver wire to pick him up. And catcher eligible, but he's playing DH every day. So you got to like that. You mentioned the Rays with the fourth best matchups for hitters. Josh Lowe, he keeps appearing on this list, keeps not living up to it, but I still think there's 5 category potential here. And hopefully the matchups this week will get him off his butt and performing well. Chandler Simpson also should take advantage of those Rays matchups. I think he might be must start in roto leagues, particularly 5 outfielder roto leagues. But even in points leagues for this week, I can recommend Chandler Simpson. Nolan Shanuel has been a underrated contributor all season, especially for points leagues. I like him this week. The Angels matchup's pretty good and only one lefty on the schedule. Shanuel has been especially good against righties. Trent Grisham should also take advantage of a righty-heavy schedule. The Yankees, one of 6 teams playing 7 games, all of them against righties. Grisham's begun to pick it up at the plate a little bit again here recently. Spencer Horwitz has been hot lately, finally showing some signs of life at the plate. The Pirates have the 3rd best hitter matchups. They're the one team visiting Coors Field this week. Not a bad time to try out Horwitz. Ramon Laureano, he's been hot lately. Over the last calendar year, his numbers are shockingly good. So I think you could justify using him regardless of the matchups. As it is, the Orioles have pretty good ones. They're one of just 6 teams playing 7 games. And then finally, gotta pick a couple Mariners here since they do, after all, have the most favorable hitter matchups this week. The 2 who are available enough to mention here, Jorge Polanco, JP Crawford. Bonus note, obviously you can't pick them up off the waivers, off the waiver wire anywhere, but Josh Naylor, new Mariner, just traded to them on Thursday. Gets to step in with the best hitter matchups right away. So hopefully he'll make a good first impression.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.